Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us for another Property Management Diary. Today we've got the lovely Mark Chew.
Hello guys.
From Choose Us, a regional property management maintenance firm, who's going to talk to us a bit about being a business owner and motivation. My name's Benjamin Hume from Evolve Block and Estate Management, and you're joining us here for another Property Management Diary. Mark, do you want to just give us a quick couple of minutes about you and your business and where you are now and where you started?
Okay, we started the business back in 2004, predominantly as a industrial cleaning and maintenance company. We've grown, I would say, the last 6 years, we've seen our biggest sort of growth period. The team's grown quite substantially over the last 6 years, which has obviously enabled us to develop in other areas and obviously sort of grow the company.
Why, so obviously you run your own business, so why did you start your own business?
I was working in sales and marketing, predominantly in the logistics industry for a number of years, and everybody kept dangling carrots, but every time I wanted to take a bite from a carrot, the carrot seemed to be moved away. And I just sat there back in 2004 and thought, if I'm doing this for somebody else, why shouldn't I be doing it for myself? I was reasonably successful with the companies that I work for. And I just made the decision. I didn't know what I was going to do and how I was going to do it, but I knew that I had to do something. So I left being an employee on the 1st of October 2004 and started my own company.
And you've not looked back since?
There's been highs and there's been some very, very serious lows.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just been about, I wanted to do things differently and treat my team differently to other companies that I've had the misfortune of working for. So we've always, from day one, everybody shares in the growth of the company, everybody shares in the success, and it's a one team, one goal work ethic. You know, we go to work 90% of the time and we're all happy, and if things go wrong, we'll pick each other up. And I've just found that being honest and open, we're a very transparent business financially. If someone's got a problem, the door's always open. They come and talk to me about it. And it's amazing how much more I've got from, I don't think of myself as being a boss. I just think of myself as the man that steers the ship.
Mm.
And I can steer the ship, but without a team behind me running the ship, there's no ship to steer. And that's pretty much where I get my motivation from, seeing the team do well, develop, investing back into the team. I've got a plumber that's going to start, well, now it's opening back up to do his gas safe qualification as well, which the company will, invest in him. So there's lots of different things you can do. I think it's just about valuing people.
I think that's interesting you say that, because one of the things that I've, as an employee for many, many years, you get to pick out who are the good bosses and who are the bad bosses. And all the good bosses that I remember as I was growing up and in my 20s and early 30s was the bosses that made you feel part of a team, that included you and trusted you, the ones that you wanted to work for, the ones that you wanted to put your all in for.
100%. And
you felt like actually you're achieving something. And when I started my business from nothing, same as you, I thought, I reckon I could do this better. I've seen what it's like. I think I can do it better. So let's give it a go. I've no idea if it was going to work or not. Fortunately, it has. And I think that's down to just my mindset. But one of the things that I've tried to encourage, like you have, is this community spirit in the office. So we're all part of a family. We're all working the same together. We're all working the good fight. It's important that as a boss, I don't throw my staff under the bus.
Yep.
It's important that I put, as much as possible, without jeopardising the business, putting our people first.
Yep.
because without the people, there is no business.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah. And it's very difficult because I've got to balance, making payroll. I've got to balance investment into the company. So, I've got to make ends meet, and I've got to make sure the company's profitable and it's still moving forward. But for me, investing that back in the business is just as important as growing the business. And we've changed systems recently. We've taken on more staff. So how do you find it when you're looking to grow the business? What are the key things that you look at when you're trying to grow?
I always try and plan between 6 to 12 months in advance. I've had to learn that. I've grown too quickly in the past, and I've had to almost rewind because I made a lot of mistakes. And I still make mistakes, and I try and learn from every mistake and try and find a positive from it. With regards to your question, I would say that one of my biggest fears, as we are a team, is, and I still find it now, is employing somebody and then the work drying up and I have to say, you've got to go. So I'm very, very calculated, and that's probably why I'm more of an organic, I like the more organic growth, because I've tried the opposite way and I didn't like it. I felt like I was out of control. I wasn't in control. I couldn't plan financial commitments. I tried not to get involved. In the early days, I was involved in the bank. We're self-funding business now. And I think it's different for everybody. I think it depends what industry you're in and how your business is structured, because my business is basically providing a service to our clients. And, I'm only as good as my tradespeople. That's the truth. Yeah. So for me, I'd say one of the biggest things, as I spoke to you earlier, I interviewed 2 people last week, but I just get a gut feeling with people, rightly or wrongly. It's the personality, it's what they say, and I think you sort of interview each other and you just find that sort of like this, I think I can work with this person. And I think that's helped me, touch wood. I've got a really good team of, the younger generation coming through now, that are eager to learn from the older time-served, tradespeople. So I've got a really good balance of people that are sort of in their mid-50s to my son, who became a partner in the business last year, and his best friend, Bill, who is the plumber I'm talking about. They're just amazing, those two. They really give 100% of the business, and I just want to see them develop now.
Yeah. That's the key, isn't it? That's the key, I think, with your business growth. It's getting the right people in at the right times. Yeah. I've brought in some, fairly junior staff, but my goal is to see them running departments and heading things up. And it doesn't give you great satisfaction when you see them achieve these milestones. They've passed this qualification, they're now managing this big thing here, and just seeing them progress as a person as well. And just, you feel like a proud parent, don't you?
I think you just hit the nail on the head. When I worked in corporate and sort of mid-sized companies, I worked for one company out of all the companies I worked for. I actually felt value. The general manager there was just a really, really genuine guy, but his hands were tied, but he would always go the extra mile to say thank you. And, if you've done something for the company, it could be the most simplest gesture, but he meant it. He was sincere. So I always will carry a lot of respect for that chap. But seeing other people grow and knowing that you're part of their growth, it's probably one of the most satisfying elements of running a company, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
For me, definitely 100%.
Running a business is about the people. The business activities are what they are. It is what it is. It's a known factor, but it's the people that make it what it is. And if you've got a good team, that's great. You've got a young team you want to nurture, it's great. I mean, I've recently brought in a senior manager, someone who's very experienced, more experienced than I have.
Okay.
So it kind of goes in more, shouldn't I get someone in a bit junior? But I'm also careful that I identify my weaknesses as a manager as well.
Very
as
important.
a boss.
Yeah.
I need to know what my limitations are.
Yeah.
So it's about making sure that I've got a philosophy. I always recruit people better than me, and that do things that I can't. Because otherwise, if I recruit people that are just clones of me, it's absolutely pointless.
Well, you're duplicating yourself, aren't you? In it to a point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So bringing in a senior manager who's more experienced, who's got this, that's got lots of knowledge in areas that actually would be really, really helpful, that they can come in and they can then work with me to help our team to grow the business.
Yeah.
But I've got to accept that actually I don't know everything, and this person is going to know more than I do, and I have to learn to trust that instinct.
I couldn't agree with you more. My biggest issue in running a business is being able to let go. And I struggle, even now, I struggle with it, and I can't deny it. You know, the lads will say to me, I'll go on site, and they're like, look, when we've finished, can you just please come back and have a look then? And if you're not happy with anything, we'll rectify it. And I sort of felt, to start with, I felt like a lost sheep, if I'm honest. I'm like, oh, you know, what do I do with myself? But I realised that my time is fronting the business, developing the business. I'm a people person. I love meeting people, and I love developing relationships, you know, with people. And I enjoy the sales side. I enjoy the marketing side. I enjoy seeing the business grow but rather than being as hands-on as I used to be, I still enjoy being hands-on now, and I do have to get a little bit of a fix now and then because I enjoy actually doing something. I wasn't born to sit behind a desk. That's just not the way that I am. But letting go, and as you've just said, why would I want to? I'm not a plumber by trade, so I'd want to employ a plumber. Or I'm not a bricklayer by trade, so I employ a bricklayer because they know more than I do. Yeah. And then, you know, the sort of management team or the supervisor team now, which I'm nurturing, I'm slowly, you know, giving them more responsibility and accountability. And I'm feeling good about it because they really are delivering. And, you know, we all mess up, but like I've said to them, if you do mess up, just tell me and we can resolve it. Yeah. You know, I mess up, but we're a team and nothing goes right all the time. So communication would be another thing.
Definitely, yeah. Communication between your colleagues and your customers. I mean, the biggest thing we find whenever we tender for new business is the first word that comes out of our potential client's mouth is communication. And the part where it falls down the most is inter-colleague communication in companies, where assumptions are made by one colleague that they don't know that colleague should be doing it, or there's no real leadership at the top.
Yeah.
So, you know, being the boss is like captaining a big ship.
Yeah.
You know, it to a certain extent, it's very ceremonial because you've got a tiny little dial in the captain's that you just push it a little bit, and the whole ship moves. But you're there as that ceremonial leader, and you set the tone. You set the tone of the business.
Yeah.
One thing I found was really difficult for me was going from doing the job to managing people doing the job. Because you think it's like, well, I'm a property manager. That's what I've done all my life. I'm good at it. And now I find I'm doing less and less property management and more people management, business management. And it just feels strange because you're like, well, I feel a bit guilty that I'm not doing the job. And I feel like I'm getting all my staff to do all the stuff that I don't want to do anymore. And I'm like, it's not a case that I'd love to do property management. It's just I haven't got the time.
No. And
I need to trust my staff to do it. I mean, we've all had those bosses where they get involved doing your job. And is it because you don't trust me? Or is it a lot of times it's not because they don't trust you. They just can't pull themselves away from doing that job.
Yeah.
But if you don't do that, then your business will suffer.
100%. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I think finding yourself in a different role, as we've just discussed, you know, and I understand, you know, you're passionate and successful in your role prior to starting your own company. I don't see the point of having managers or supervisors if they don't supervise or manage, and I hate micromanagement. At the end of the day, if I task you, or we sit down, that's your task, but that's down to you. I want you to have ownership of that. We can discuss it. If there's any questions, I haven't got the answers for everything. But I found that actually, if you sit down once or twice a week, we usually try to sit down twice a week if we can, even if it's just for half an hour, 45 minutes, and let everybody vent if things have gone wrong or it's going right, but put a solution to everything. Let's make the plan today. Let's not drag on. Let's sit down. If we need to revisit it, we will, but let's sit down, let's put a plan together, and let's take that problem out, because we end up in our industry, probably the same as you, we may have, 15 or 20 jobs going on in and around the same time. Some jobs are small, some jobs are bigger. But there could be a problem with this job, and then it gets put to the side because it's not that important. It can get lost quite quickly, I think. So I would say that, as you've just said, about changing your role, without me doing what I do now, the company would fall to bits, because my day is spent planning pretty much and organising. And now I know that I'm going to have to take on, we're looking to get, we hopefully are signing on some offices locally, because we need to obviously get more people in admin-wise, etc. And I know now that my focus has it's become too administrative, and it's not something that I enjoy doing either. It's not my strong point. In fact, it's my worst point, I would say, and I struggle with it. So I'm going to get somebody or maybe two people, full-time, or one full-time, one part-time, to come in and just take that away from me. Because I find that I end up working even now, and it's my own fault. I'll go in the office on a Saturday and I'll say to the family, I'll only be an hour. And then it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I come home and it just causes grief. So I'd rather again, going back to planning, isn't it?
Yeah. It's looking into the future and trying to work out where am I likely to be in 12 months?
Yeah.
And is it going to be a place that I'm going to enjoy being in 12 months, or what decisions can I make now?
Yeah.
To mean that in 12 months' time I'm in the place I really want to be, not where I could be. It is very difficult planning for the future and assessing your role within the business, because my role as the MD, founder, tea maker, whatever it is this week.
Yeah, same as that.
It changes so frequently. It's so dynamic what I do. We're changing computer systems at the moment, and I'm spending my evenings or weekends doing data entry.
Yeah.
Then I've got a meeting this afternoon with my accountant to go through the P&L stuff for the business.
Yeah.
And then after that, I'm probably going to do an ice cream run for the staff.
Just that's diverse. You can get much more diverse than that, isn't it?
So for me, it's about however many strings to my bow. But I can't just say, right, I'm the MD, I will be doing this, that's it. You can't be rigid.
No.
And I'll do whatever I need to do. I was out on our roof when the storms were really bad a couple of months ago. I was on the roof of our office, spending an entire afternoon brushing liquefied bird muck off of our flat roof in the contract in the pouring rain.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do as a boss. It's not glamorous, it's not nice, but ultimately someone's got to do it.
It's real life, isn't it?
Yeah. I could go from, signing contracts for 6-figure block management income to spending a couple of hours on a roof, brushing off bird crap.
Yeah.
It is a role, and I think sometimes you have to be motivated in a certain way to be able to reconcile that in your head and not be very, no, that's not my job. I'm the MD, I sit behind the desk and I earn lots of money and I wear, 3-piece suits, and it's all very, no, you roll your sleeves up, you go on a roof, I go up on cherry pickers and look at bird netting, I climb up on blocks, on ladders to inspect major works, I'll go to an AGM when catastrophe is going to take place and help my staff out. I like to parachute me in where it's needed.
Yeah.
And then that my staff then feel, they feel more loyal to me because they know that actually I'm prepared to do any job that they do if I need to help them out with it. If my accounts manager's struggling with accounts, I will sit down with it and together we'll figure out. I won't go, that's your department, come back to me when it's solved.
Of course. I think one of my favourite sayings is lead by example.
Yeah. Oh yes. Definitely.
100. It's got to be the one thing that's stuck in my head. I would never ask anybody in my team, and it might sound a bit cliche, but it's not, to do anything that I wouldn't do myself.
I was just thinking that, yeah, it's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. That's it. If your team, and it's again the word team, if they see that you are the boss or the captain of the ship that's prepared to do anything, you just got to do it. It's real life, and I just don't understand, as you've just said, work for a couple, again, going back, where, the MD's door was always closed, and you would just felt like, and, he wouldn't even acknowledge you. It was just like, why do you feel that just because you're earning your £200,000, whatever it might be a year salary with your company Mercedes or whatever else, you're not really, because you don't actually own the company. You're just an employee of the company, but in a different role. And that's what I found. The actual manager directors that owned their businesses were totally different, because they built the businesses from nothing.
Yeah.
And that's just my experience. I could be totally wrong, and I think things may well have changed now. I think the people that I seem to meet, the new generation of manager directors seem to be much more in touch with their team.
Yeah.
I feel. Like the old school, regimented shirt, and you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It seems a much more casual, but in some ways much more productive way of managing.
I see, because that's one thing I've always, I grew up in a fairly strict family, and I've always been taught, if you're a manager, you wear the suit, you're very firm, and you've got to do Alan Sugar, you're fired. If I fired 1/5 of my workforce every week, I'd be screwed as well.
Of course.
But it's all this is added. You've got to be a bastard to get in business, and I keep saying, no, it's the opposite.
It's bullshit. Sorry.
It's fine.
No, sorry. But it's absolute fodder.
Yeah. All you're going to do is inspire fear, and then eventually, they'll still work for you, but their motivation will be their pay packet,
100%,
and not on you as the business, where it has to be a bit of both. They have to want to work for you, and obviously you pay them what you feel they're worth.
Of course. Sometimes there's merit on both sides of that statement, and I'd say for the reason why. Once or twice a year, I have to just remind people, and I don't do it directly, I do it more of a general statement, and it usually trickles down through the grapevine quite quickly. Don't take the mickey, all right? I'll give you an inch, but don't take a mile.
Yeah.
So I just occasionally, might not even be twice a year, maybe once a year, but sometimes I do agree that you have to, because you're on a leadership role, you have to have a certain authority, because otherwise there is potential for people just to walk all over you.
Yeah.
So it's a fine balance, but a happy ship is a great ship. And, I've had people that have worked for the business and they've gone to do different things. I had one girl that worked for the business going back years ago, and her dream was to be a nurse. And she had no self-confidence, nothing. And I worked with her on the weekends. She had to do equivalent to A-levels, and two things I enjoyed at school was maths and English. It's probably the only things I was ever any good at school and enjoyed. So I spent 2 years and helping her at the weekends when I had time. She's became a qualified nurse about 4 years ago now, and then she's been promoted, so I can't think what qualification she's got now, but in 4 years she's gone right up the ranks, and she's lived her dream. It was horrible when she left, because she was like my right-hand woman. She was brilliant, but I knew it would be wrong for me not to help her achieve what she wanted to do. It's like an emotional attachment. It was really weird, because she was the one person that I didn't want to go. She used to literally run the cleaning side of the business for us, and she was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But she'd just drop it in now and then. I was a paramedic, but I really like to be a nurse. And I just thought about it one day. I just thought, I'm holding you back. You're loyal to me, but I'm not letting you. I'm not letting you. It just didn't feel comfortable with me, and I just knew it was the right thing to do.
No, I had that with a member of staff a couple of years back that, you know, I've tried to help them, support them, and, you know, give them training. And for whatever reason, it just wasn't working.
Yeah.
And it's clear that this wasn't the field that they wanted to work in,
Yeah.
you know, and it was trying to sit them down and say, look, you know, I can continue employing you, but you're not happy here. You know, and
Difficult one, yeah.
it's tricky. And I say, look, this is just, you know, you want to go off and be, you know, work for this solicitor firm or be a legal secretary, and I can see you want to do that. You're not going to do that here. And I know the job here is just not floating your boat for whatever reason. So we then had to sit down and said, as much as it's, you know, I don't want to, I think it's best that you find somewhere else.
Yeah.
And actually she agreed and said, no, I appreciate it. I just didn't want to let you down.
That,
you know.
Yeah, that's the fit. Oh, yeah. Very similar situation.
So you kind of have to cut off your nose to spite your face a little bit. They're going to know you are going to let me down, but we're doing it for the right reason.
Yes.
You need to go. I don't want unhappy staff. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I come in this morning and my senior property manager was in a bit of a state. She'd had a lot of grief and was upset because she had some clients that were just really rude to her on the phone. So my first thing I did when I got in this morning was put my bag down and say, right, come on, let's have a chat.
Nice. Yeah.
Let's talk about this. Let's just not let this fester.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'd like to get on my computer and check my emails and do stuff, but actually, you know, one of my staff members suffering. So I'm like, no, let's screw everything else. Let's just sit down and talk this through.
Brilliant.
And it's just, and then my staff will know that if they're having a bad day or there's a problem, they know that I will be there to help them out. I don't want to take over. I don't want to take over their job.
I know.
Or come in and start taking over their emails or solve it for them. But they just need to know that there's someone there that understands what they're going through and just gives them some support or some ideas. They can then go back to their desk and then carry on doing their job.
That support network is crucial. And it's quite far. I see the lads, especially the younger ones, the older ones, are, you know, nothing really wavers there. You know, they can just take most things. But I think there's 2 points to that. The last year plus for everybody has been so tiring, emotionally, physically, etc., etc. I think everybody just wants to. I think everybody's burnt out. The majority of people are actually burnt out because they've just been. It's been a different way of living, hasn't it? At the end of the day.
Well, it's been all work but no play.
That's the thing. Yeah. That is the key, you know. And I think, you know, the younger sort of lads, they'll bicker and I'll just sit there and listen. I go, right, you two. What we need to do is we need to find a solution to this. And it's quite a simple solution. What do you think about doing it that way? And they're like, oh yeah, well I said that. But it's funny because when I was that age, I could just, you can remember what it used to be like when you were younger, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But to be able to sit down, but if one of them's got a problem, I mean, 2 of them weren't feeling very well yesterday, so I changed their jobs around and they've never let me down, ever. But I said to them, right, I've got a couple of small little remedial jobs I need doing. Go and do those for me because I need to get them done and then go home. Simple.
Yeah.
Because it's not, you know, I have to value their time and their well-being as well as my own. So, yeah, it's a good point you made there.
Sorry, someone was just trying to phone me. I need to just check it's still recording. Still going. Cool. Okay. Okay. I'm trying to think. I think that's pretty much everything. I think we've talked.
I've enjoyed it.
Donkey. That's good. It's nice from one business owner to another to kind of just share experiences with. You know, we both started with similar places.
Yeah, with nothing.
We started with nothing.
Yeah. And
we've ended up where we are, and it's really interesting to see that the problems that I've faced and things that I've faced that you've also faced. And from your point of view, it's nice that you probably be reassured that I've had the same things that you had.
If I can just interrupt very quickly, I remember. So I started in 2004, and it got to about 2008, and obviously the first 2 years it was a lot of work, and we were slowly, and then all of a sudden it went, for me at the time, it was a bit uncontrollable. It was all happening very quickly and I couldn't really control it. And I remember I had a client, and it was a local client, I wouldn't mention any names, and I remember going in one evening, and I got on with him really well. He was a managing director, he actually owned the business. And it was a multi-million-pound business, but he'd actually gone bankrupt and then had the resilience to start again and go forward. And I remember just saying, have you got 5 minutes? And he said, yeah, of course, what is it? I said, well, my business seems to be going sort of here and it's sort of gone like that. Excuse me. Excuse me. And I'm struggling to manage it. I just wondered if you give me any advice. And he said, oh no, there's plenty of stuff on the internet you can read up yourself, go to college, whatever. Shut me down. I'll never forget that. That was probably one of the most, excuse me again, deflating moments of asking for help. I think having these conversations and inspiring other people, or just letting other people know that we're all pretty much in the same boat in a different way, different industry, but the problems are pretty generic, I think.
They are, absolutely, and it's nice to know they're not on their own. We're all having the same problems, we're all having the same crisis in our minds.
Excuse me.
So we're all having that kind of crisis of confidence going, oh my God, am I doing the right thing?
Yeah.
When actually we're all pretty much facing the same issues. We've all had to start somewhere.
100%.
We've all had to get to the same points where we go, is this the right thing I'm doing? Is this decision I'm going to make the right thing?
Of course.
And to a certain extent, you never truly know. You can see what people have done.
I think this is the biggest thing. We can all, none of us know what's around the corner. We don't know. We can plan for 6 months, 9 months, 18 months, 2 years. We don't know, but you've got to trust in what your instinct is telling you.
Yeah.
And being able to talk to people like yourself, I enjoy these times. Don't get very much time to do these things, and I know you don't either. But you can feed little bits of advice, things that you say to me. I thought, well, that's a good idea. And actually, one of the most inspiring things that you said to me, going back Christmas, I think it was, and we were talking, and you were mentioning your new IT system, which was going to be a biggie for you in the summer. And I just remember getting back out, and I was driving home, and I was thinking, this is what I need to concentrate on. I'm not the person for that job, so I've got somebody that's actually doing it for me. But even what they put together so far is going to make, with our accounting and everything else, it's just going to save me so much time. So you inspired me by, I'm doing that. And I thought, actually, my way of working is, to call it old school. When the accountant, everybody, they're just like, stop it. Just stop it. Let us deal with it.
Yeah.
You leave it alone. But now they've actually got me a system where actually I feel quite empowered because I can actually use it. It's a sort of layman's terms accounting package, but it works for me.
Well, that's it. And it just takes that anxiety away because you've got a system in there that does the things you need it to do. I mean, we've grown massively in systems over the last couple of years because we started off on spreadsheets and scraps of paper.
Yeah.
And you can't do this. And as we've grown, we're having to automate more and more and more and bring in more and more systems, not just computer systems, but procedures.
Of course.
To make sure that we can scale up our business rather than in 5 years' time we've suddenly doubled in size, but we're still acting as if we're where we were 5 years back.
100%.
So we have to adapt to survive as we continue to grow.
Yeah.
Perfect.
No, brilliant. Well, thank you for having us in today.
No, thank you very much, Mark. It's been really good to chat.
Brilliant.
Super. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.